Hey everyone, welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. I'm Kevin Selly, joined by Lincoln Shrike, and it's a Friday, so of course we have a guest, and we are pleased to be joined by two-time American record holder. She's got 13 U.S. titles. It's Shelby Houlihan. Shelby, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Well, we certainly appreciate your time, and I guess the most appropriate question to start with is the question that everybody gets at this time. How are you doing? How is this new reality for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, my schedule hasn't really changed too much, other than having to be forced to stay at home more, it's pretty much been the same. I wake up and have breakfast, go run, do core or whatever workout, and then maybe a second run later, and in between there I'm just recovering at home, and whether that's watching Netflix, playing video games, whatever that is. Yeah, I mean, I've been playing a lot more video games than normal and staying up a little later, maybe eating a little less healthy, but for the most part my actual schedule is pretty similar.
And you were telling us off camera that the Bowerman Track Club has kind of segmented into small little groups. What has it been like training with just a couple athletes, a couple training partners at a time?
Yeah, I'm grateful to just have at least a couple people to work out with instead of working out by myself. But at the same time, we have such a big group, and I do miss some of my other teammates. And most of my runs I have been doing on my own as well. So yeah, but kind of hoping that this clears up soon, and restrictions are starting to get lifted. But I'd like to run with some of my other teammates as well.
And I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, and it's been a while now since the Olympics have been postponed to 2021. What were your emotions, though, when you found out that basically this huge 2020 season was not going to happen?
Yeah, I think initially, I mean, I was kind of expecting it, just kind of watching what was happening. I figured they would probably have to postpone it at some point, or cancel it. Luckily, they postponed it, so grateful that they did that instead of cancel. But I mean, initially, I was pretty disappointed. I felt like I had put in a lot of work already this season, and I felt like I was in a good spot after indoors with my fitness, and I was kind of ready to keep the ball rolling there. And yeah, I mean, definitely disappointed is an understatement, but at the same time, I think as I was able to kind of like take it all in, I think as soon as I heard the news, I like went to the grocery store and bought a ton of junk food. So it was like my way of coping. And I kind of went a little crazy that first week. I think that's all I ate was junk food. And now I've kind of scaled it back a little bit and found a good balance. But I think it's also trying to look at it in a positive light. It's been kind of nice to have a break, I guess. And, I think I've kind of been very diligent about my training and the things that I'm doing for the last however many years. And it's kind of nice to like, okay, I don't really want to go do core today. Okay, like there's no Olympics. I don't really have to. Like, what am I training for? And it's kind of like I've been able to let myself off the hook a little bit, and it feels nice to be able to do that because I don't do that very often. And I'm kind of hoping after this is over, I can I feel like I needed that mental break and like reset. And so I'm hoping after everything's said and done, I can come back like more fired up and ready to go.
What was in that shopping cart with the junk food?
Oh gosh. A huge thing of Goldfish, birthday cake, Oreos, as like a ton of different chips. I love chips. I think we got ice cream, Starburst jelly beans, Sour Patch Kids. Like, I mean, any candy that you could think of is probably in that cart. I think we also bought like a Pizookie, or not a Pizookie, a cookie cake. We bought a cookie cake. It was on clearance from St. Patrick's Day, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna get it. And it's like a dozen donuts. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on, but it took a little bit to at least. What?
You were not in the 15 items or less checkout aisle.
Definitely not. I think we spent like maybe over $100 on junk food, and it was pretty bad. But I felt like it was much needed, and it was kind of nice because I never do that, and it was kind of nice to just like go crazy for a little bit.
It sounds like you and maybe other members of your group or other elite athletes are coming to the realization that us mere mortals came to at some point in their running career when there was no longer that big goal. Maybe high school ended for them and they weren't running collegiately, or collegiate running ended and then they were not going to move on to the next level. So they had to stop and be like, well, yeah, I don't need to do all these things. So let me reevaluate and reassess. Now you're going to jump right back into the pool though, because next year starts a 5-year run of global championships. Is it interesting to have that other perspective of like, okay, I don't need to do this right now. The clock isn't necessarily ticking as much.
Yeah, it's kind of nice, but at the same time, I'm glad that it's not going to last forever. But yeah, I think, like I said, like it was kind of much needed just to have that little mental break. But once it's all said and done, like I think I've still done a really good job of, you know, having a balance, and I've still been eating fairly healthy with like, you know, like unhealthy snacks. I didn't even take a day off after I heard, so training's still like very high and, you know, doing workouts pretty intensely. I actually took my first day off on Wednesday, since that was my first day off since October. So that felt kind of good. I just didn't feel like running that day. And I was like, I guess I don't really have to, but felt like I also kind of needed it and deserved it. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm keeping a good balance of like taking that mental break, but still like I'm going to be ready when the time comes, when racing opportunities present themselves.
Shelby, last week on our website, we kind of enjoyed a Bowerman Track Club theme where, because there's nothing really going on, we're going with theme weeks, and had a lot of content about the team. And of course, you're an integral part of it. I made a ranking of the top 10 Bowerman Track Club athletes of all time. I put Evan Jager number 1. I put you number 4. And I want to know, is your ranking fair? And then 2,
Who was 2 and 3?
Shalane was 2, and then I had Mohamed as 3.
Okay.
So is it fair? And then who should be number 1?
That's such a hard question that I've never thought about before. I don't know. I'll take the number 4 spot. I'm not like mad about that by any means. I don't have a medal, first of all, so you know I'm surprised that Courtney's not ahead of me. But
I think she was 6th.
Okay.
You got a few national titles over her,
I
so
do.
that's why.
I do have some national titles. I have a couple American records, so it's helping me a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I'd say Shalane and Jager are. I could like almost swap them just because Shalane's had such a long career. But nah, I think that's probably fair order. I'll stick with my number 4 spot. That's fair.
That really helps my ego, so I appreciate it.
Rare praise for Lincoln's rankings. Rare praise for Lincoln's rankings.
Well, speaking of Shalane, your last race before this, you and 3 other teammates broke Shalane's old 3,000 meter record, and I know that was a race for you that was probably slightly disappointing. But what was that experience like for you from your perspective, running 8:26, but then getting second place?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I was definitely disappointed after that race. I felt like I knew I could break that record. I just like didn't know exactly how fit I was, and you know, I think I didn't feel awesome on the day, but at the end of the day, that's kind of the name of the game. Sometimes you don't have it on the day, and you know, I felt flat and didn't have a kick, unfortunately, but I knew Carissa was in great shape. Like we'd been working out all winter, and you know, she's just like right there on my shoulder. So if I'm having a bad day, she's gonna capitalize on it for sure. And she did. And you know, like maybe I would have felt great and still lost. I have no idea. But you know, I was also super pumped for Carissa because she's someone that I've really been like, we've been paired up for workouts going into Doha, so like about a year now, and she's super gritty and she'll be right on my shoulder in workouts, and I like for the life of me can't drop her ever. Like even if she has no business being right behind me, she's just right there always. And it's making me doubt my fitness at times going into Doha, and I ended up having a workout by myself finally, and I was like, okay, no, I am in good shape, and she's just also in really good shape. But no, she's been someone that's been awesome to work out with, and she's pushed me as well as me pushing her. So I was really happy for her when she was able to, get that record, and she's someone that really deserves it, and I respect her. I'm kind of scared because I know she's going to be going after my 5K record, and I'm sure we'll battle with that a little bit too.
Well, I remember in Albuquerque this past indoor seasons, in simpler times when we all thought that there was going to be a track season. After both of your wins, Lincoln or I don't even remember who at this point, but part of what made those races so interesting was it was so Bowerman heavy, and yet you guys all said you don't coordinate race plans. Once you get out there, it's every person for themselves out there, and you came out on top in that scenario. In BU, you didn't. Does your attitude about how much you like that change depending on the outcome of the race?
No, I mean, I think Jerry does a really good job about that. I don't think that we should know each other's race plans because at the end of the day, we're still competitors, and Carissa and Colleen are still people that I want to beat. And I don't really want them knowing what I'm going to do or like my race tactics as much as they don't want me to know theirs. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And, at the end of the day, we can still finish and, respect each other and be proud of each other, even through our own disappointments. And I think, you kind of have to be.
Was when you go back and look at that race, is there anything you said you maybe just didn't have it that day? Is there in a pure time trial setup like that though? Are there adjustments and things you can make differently, or is it just, hey, if I come to line and I'm ready, and then I'm going to be good, and if I'm off by even 0.1%, my teammates are so good they could take advantage of it? How do you evaluate a race like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like know for sure. Kate paced it and I was right. Like as soon as she fell off, I was in the lead. So I don't know if letting someone else take it, but at the same time, I love leading and that wasn't really a problem for me. And I think if I would have felt good, it would have maybe been different. But yeah, just, sometimes you just have those days where nothing feels like it's clicking and you feel flat. And that unfortunately, as that was one of those days for me. And as much as you don't want it to happen, especially when you're trying to go after an American record, sometimes it does. And, I commend Carissa for being able to get that record and she definitely deserved it. But, I hope I can get another shot at it next year and we'll see what happens.
Shelby, to you, what's the most memorable race of your career?
I think probably I would say making that first Olympic team and going to Rio at the Olympic trials. That was like still one of like my most memorable moments. Just a childhood dream kind of coming true. And, it doesn't always happen and you can prepare as much as you want. And sometimes it never happens. And for that to have kind of all the hard work and dedication to have come together in that one moment and kind of make a dream come true was huge for me. And I think everyone kind of saw when I crossed the line and started crying, just how much it meant to me. And obviously there's a lot more that I want to do still, but that was like a huge goal that I was able to accomplish.
You've had so much success, and I know you were very successful at Arizona State, but you've taken like the next couple steps up that maybe some people didn't necessarily expect, just where you were in college to where you are now. I'm wondering if any of your success has surprised you thus far through the first, whatever it is, 5 or so years as a professional.
Honestly, I'd probably say no. I felt like I made a lot of good steps in college and just kind of growing as an athlete and as a person, but just kind of learning how to become more dedicated and doing some of the little things. I never like it's just honestly taken me a long time to build an aerobic base because in high school I was maybe running like 20 miles a week, if that, and I trained like a sprinter. And so once I got to college that freshman year, I was running like 30 miles a week, and I've just slowly over 8 years gotten to this point where I'm finally running like 85 miles a week to 90. And the speed aspect was always there. Was something that I worked on early on. But it was a matter of building that aerobic base. And once I got to Jerry's group, his workouts were way more intense. And, I think through high school and college, I always felt like I was never pushed to my potential in workouts and stuff like that. And so once I got to Jerry's group, I was definitely being pushed every day. And that first year, I think I got dropped like almost every workout, and I was going home and just laying in bed all day because I was so tired. And I loved it at the same time because it was like I'm finally being pushed, and I'm finally gonna like see how good I can be. And it's obviously the workouts have gotten easier as I've gotten more and more fit, and that aerobic base has been built. But yeah, I mean, I think 2018 was the season that the speed and the aerobic base aspect finally kind of clicked and came together. And I think there's still a lot more there. So I'm pretty excited to keep the ball rolling.
You make those teams in 16 and 17 in the 5,000. And then, as you mentioned, you go to 18 in the 1,500. And then, I mean, you're still running the 5,000s. Obviously, you have U.S. titles there. But from an outside perspective, you morphed into Shelby Houlihan, unstoppable kicking machine at some point there. And it started to look automatic. Did it feel automatic when you started getting in those races at that point in like after 17?
Yeah, I mean, I think my experience at Worlds in 17, I had been training for the 5K, and I felt like I was in really, really good shape, and I felt like I was in like 1440-ish shape, and that just I was never able to prove that year, and I think I walked away placing 13th and super disappointed and embarrassed, and think I went on my cool down and cried and was just so devastated that I didn't put myself in the race more, because I felt like there was just so much more there that I wasn't able to show. And so going into 2018, I think I kind of just challenged myself. That first race, I raced Prefontaine Classic outdoors, and I was like, screw it. I know I belong here. I know I'm good enough. I'm just going to put myself in it and see what happens. And I was able to come away with that first win and break 4. And I think once I kind of validated that to myself, that, yeah, I am good enough. Like I can be here and I can compete with these women at this level. I think that's really what kind of made it automatic. I just needed that confidence in myself to keep putting myself in the races and see what happens. Yeah.
And you're also like, hey, I can be even better at a race that's 2 miles shorter. I might be onto
Yeah.
something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think training for that 5K, Jerry was definitely onto something. I don't know if that was his like master plan the whole time, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think training for that 5K just made me super strong. And then, going back down to the 15, I always had that speed and that kick. It was just a matter of getting in the fast races and still having the kick at the end. And like I said, like things finally clicked for me, and I was able to not be totally gassed with 200 to go, and I actually had a kick, and that was kind of the first year that showed up, and it's been that way ever since for the most part.
When you joined, who were you most excited to train with?
I think probably like being around like Shalane. She was obviously someone that I looked up to, and I know she was like more of a marathon runner, but just I wanted to learn how to be a really good professional runner. I felt like I had learned how to be a good collegiate runner, and I was kind of looking for that next step and someone to guide me into that role, or just like people to learn from. And I think, coming to a group where you're surrounded by some of the best professional runners, that was definitely a good move on my part. And I was able to just kind of sit back and watch, as well as get dragged along in workouts, and watch what they're doing, and learn how to be a good professional.
How has the relationship changed with Shalane and the team now that she's coaching versus being an athlete?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a transition, just in that, like, now she has this like coach role instead of friend teammate role. And I mean, obviously the friend role is still there. But it's mostly been a pretty easy transition. She's still like, she was kind of transitioning, I think, when she started having her knee surgery. She was still coming to practice, or like workouts, and watching us work out, help timing. And then I think that kind of like naturally evolved into the coaching role that she has now.
And I have to ask about Jerry. When we saw him in the winter, he was growing his hair out. What's the story behind that? And has he cut it yet?
So he was gonna cut it, I think, the first race of the outdoor season, which hasn't happened yet, and it's still growing. It's still,
oh, wow.
He definitely needs a haircut. He's also not shaving either, so it's just, there's a lot going on there right now.
Because he truthfully wants to be anonymous and have no one recognize him, so that will help.
Yes.
In that, yeah,
he's doing a great job.
Yeah.
What's your best? I mean, Shalane, I'm sure there's some epic Shalane workouts, but just in terms of Shalane Flanagan, consummate professional, do you have any good Shalane stories? Maybe when you first joined, that let you know how good she is and how serious she was.
I don't have a really, like, because she's more of a marathon runner, so I didn't really get to work out with her a ton. But I know a story from Amy that's pretty good. It was like they had just gotten done with like this really hard workout, and they went back to the car, and I think this is when Amy first joined the group, so she didn't know her super well yet. And she just hears this like quiet voice that was like, I taste blood. This is awesome. And she was like, who am I training with right now? Like, this
my God.
woman is crazy. Or it was like, yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up. And I think most of us in the group are kind of the same way. So it's like, yeah, it's not surprising that happened, but it's one of my favorite stories.
What I want to jump back to the 5K for a bit, because I know if there were the Olympics this year, I believe you told us that you said at the trials you were going to run both, but the Olympic schedule didn't work out, so that way you would have just run the 1500. But an American woman's never medaled in the 5. It's kind of a weird thing because they have medals in 15 and 8, and then obviously steeple and 10,000, everything like that. What is it about that race? And it hasn't been run as long, because for a while they did the 3,000, they switched. There's a little bit of a historical difference there too. But why do you think it's been tough for the Americans to medal there and not see the breakthroughs that they've seen in other distance events?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, honestly. I think when I started running the 5K at that like world level, when I first went professional, I was kind of one of the best 5K runners. I mean, I was able to make the Olympic team, and running 15:06, and I went to the Olympics, and it was hard to have confidence when some of those women had PRs that were like almost a minute faster. So I think just like we have this like 15-minute barrier stuck in our heads that's like really hard to break. And not that it's not, but like I think if we're running around, like if we're trying to break 15, these like Africans are like, oh, okay, like cool. And I think just like kind of getting over that hump and getting more American women to consistently run in the 1440s, 1415s, 1430s. We have to lower that standard to start being competitive at the world level. And I think we're starting to see that. And, I think Shalane helping me break that 5K record a couple years ago kind of started to get the ball rolling. And then I had teammates that were training with me that was like, well, if she can do it, like, why can't I do it? And then fast forward to this, or like last summer, Carissa running, I think like 1440 high. And I know there's a lot more in there for her, and it's going to be really exciting to see where she goes with the 5K. And, even indoors, Vanessa running, like what did she run? 1448 or 1452 or something like that. And, it's like, I think just getting the ball rolling and having watching other people do it and being able to tell yourself like, okay, I think I can do that too. I'm good enough to do that. I think just like getting the confidence of American women up and getting to a point where we do believe that we can compete on the world stage, like that's got to be the first priority. And once you have that confidence, it can be pretty dangerous. So I think we're starting to see a change, and I hope at some point that we do see medals start coming our way. But it's a process, and it takes time.
You are known for putting on a pretty serious game face before a race. I'm wondering if that's deliberate, and if so, when did that kind of start for you, or is that something that it happens out of natural circumstances?
It just kind of happens. I am aware of it, but it mostly just happens. I've always done it. That's just kind of the way I roll, I guess. It's like once I'm like on the track, I'm like in my zone. I'm ready to go. I'm like, ready to rip people up in a way, not literally, but I don't know. I think like that's like just where I'm most comfortable and most confident in myself is when I'm lining up to race people. And you kind of, I guess my game face reflects that a little bit. And, I swear I'm not super mean in person, and I'm usually pretty lighthearted and goofy. But once you put me in that setting on the track, the switch is flipped and I'm ready to go.
Like, are you feeling nerves on a start line? Because like you can look across even professional track athletes, any big race, you see them and you can be like, that person's nervous, that person's really nervous, that person, you don't look nervous. And I feel like, especially if your competitors see that, that could be an advantage. Do you view it as such?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, anytime that you can like get in your competitor's head is probably a good thing. I don't hate that I look intimidating by any means. Yeah. But yeah, I would say typically don't get super nervous. I try to find comfort in the fact that no matter what happens, whether it's a good race or bad race, it's just part of the process. And, you're going to have bad races, and I try to look at those as big learning opportunities, because that's the times where I've learned the most and tried to grow from. And, if it's a good race, that's awesome. But I don't think whatever happens, it's going to happen, and it's part of the process. And so I don't really feel the need to get nervous about it, I guess.
Have you gotten any feedback about the game face from your family, friends, loved ones?
No feedback, but I definitely get a lot of comments about it. I do actually, like, some of my friends, when they, like, before we had met, they were like, I was so scared to meet you. You just like to look super intense and intimidating. Like, I just was terrified. And I was like, and now they're like, I don't know why I was so scared, but yeah. So I definitely get how it can come across as being intense and terrifying, but I swear I'm not like that.
You just mentioned a second ago when you have a bad race. And now I'm trying to rack my brain and try to think when the last time we could objectively say that Shelby Houlihan had a bad race, but you seem to be a tough judge on yourself. So when was your last bad race?
I'd say my last bad race was Doha.
354.
And before that, yeah, I know. It's like, it's not that it was bad. Like, there's a lot of good things to take away from it, and it was definitely bittersweet. I just, like, some of the positives, I went into that race more confident than I'd ever been. I knew that I was in around 354 shape, and like historically, when does that not medal, you know? So like I just went into that race like, I don't care what happens, how bad I have to hurt, I'm gonna try to win, and if I don't win, I like, there's no way I don't medal. And you know, I put myself in it and didn't realize it was going to be a 351 race and, you know, get fourth at 354. But, you know, I think one of my goals that year was to get the American record, and I was able to do that, which was awesome. And I'm glad that I was able to, but to have to walk away without a medal was like, just when I was so like sure that it was going to happen, I was just going to make it happen. That was really hard to do. And I think I could have been more aggressive and, you know, fought for that second spot off. Like, I had the second spot off the line initially, and then I kind of gave it up and was kind of towards the middle of the pack. And I think if I would have fought for that spot, maybe I could have hung on for top three. But, you know, I can pick and poke at what happened during the race, and I won't know what would have happened. But I'm just trying to pick it apart and learn from it the best that I can, and trying to use that as fuel for the fire for going into 2021 now.
There was an announcement yesterday from the Diamond League, and I know you won't be able to participate, but they're going to have a meet of sorts in Norway coming up in a month and a half, called the Impossible Games. I'm wondering, I know it's not going to impact you because you're not in Norway or anywhere close to there, but what are your thoughts of track in some form coming back seemingly pretty early in June, where a lot of sports are still going to be, you know, not competing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like a good sign that things are starting to come back, and I hope that there's going to be opportunities for US athletes as well. It's like, I'm excited about that, but at the same time, I don't know, it's kind of like up in the air, just because I know personally, like, I haven't like, drug testing hasn't really been relevant right now, and just because of the whole pandemic. And you know, it just kind of opens the doors for opportunities for people, I guess, that you know, not to like get too into it, but you know, it kind of throws questions in there. And I think once we get back on a schedule where people are getting regularly drug tested, I'll feel a lot more better about it. And yeah, I mean, that's all. I guess
No,
that's all I
yeah.
really have to say about it. But yeah, I mean, I hope things start getting better and we are able to start racing again, because I'm really excited too. But you just gotta also think about that aspect of it as well.
No, I understand the kind of the suspicion. Maybe that's not the right word, but there were news reports last week, several, I think, talking about this new virtual drug testing. I'm wondering if you've had any experience with this, you know, doing online drug testing, and I don't know, do you think it's a viable solution for the current situation?
I'm gonna be honest. I saw the article, but I didn't read it.
No, that's fine.
So I don't really know any of the information on it, or like what that entails. I think, you know,
So you haven't been
if
tested during this period, obviously.
no, I mean, ever since everything started, you know, I haven't gotten
Yeah.
tested at all, and I think that's something that still needs to be done, but it's like a gray area right now just because of what's going
Yeah.
on. So I understand that they're not, but I still think, you know, I think that we should still be tested in some capacity.
Well, and I understand your hesitance, but I do want to tap more into what you were, you know, having some reservations about possibly competing when drug testing isn't up to its normal, you know, the way it normally goes. Can you speak more of that? I mean, what does that mean for a professional athlete when it's possible other people are dodging tests because of the unique circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to think about it too much, honestly. I just hope that people aren't. Obviously, that's not like a super realistic. I know people do cheat, but I just try to, like, once racing does resume, I'm just gonna treat everyone like they're clean, and that's all you can really do. Hope that everyone's honest, and yeah, I mean, I think if I start suspecting people, then I'm already putting myself at a disadvantage when I line up and race them. So it's not something I try to, like, really focus on, but I'm aware that that does happen, and I just try to come at it with my best, and I'm just trying to work hard and get through this whole pandemic just like everybody else. But yeah, I mean, I just try to keep a positive light about it, I suppose.
Is it annoying to answer questions all the time about drug testing? I ask because 2019 was that World Championships was especially charged on that topic, and certain athletes, it seemed like they relished the opportunity to speak about it. They liked having the platform. They liked sharing their views. Other people seemed more reticent, and they just were like, "Hey, I'm here to focus on my race. Let the authorities do what they may." Where do you? I guess, and I would put you. I watched just one of your old interviews before we started here, so I didn't see the whole chronology of Shelby day one, Shelby after the semis, and Shelby after the finals. But you certainly got asked a lot of questions about it, and I guess I couldn't put you in one camp or the other. Where do you sit there on that continuum?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm typically more of a quiet person. I don't really need the platform to speak out about it. Obviously, I'm against it. You'd be crazy not to be. And I'm the type of person that, like, I just want to do it myself. I want to stand on that Olympic podium with a gold medal around my neck, knowing that I did that. I realize that other people don't see it that way, which is disappointing. And I want to be able to race against a fair field, but like I said before, that's just I have to go into every race treating everyone that like they're clean, and that's all I can really do. I just need to focus on myself, and I can't control what other people do or don't do. So I just typically try to treat everyone like they're clean and focus on what I can do and what I can control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Lighter topics. Let's talk quarantine habits. I don't play video games, but I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this podcast do. What are you playing?
Pretty much just Call of Duty. The new Warzone came out, and so we've been going kind of back and forth between multiplayer and Warzone. But yeah, mostly just Call of Duty.
And you said you were watching a lot of Netflix. Do you have any recommendations
Yeah.
for people?
Just finished watching The Office for like the 5th time. And I'm just starting on Ozark now, which I've heard is really good, and I'm like 7 episodes into the first season, so I'm liking it so far. I definitely recommend. I'll probably start rewatching the Harry Potter series at some point though.
Are you going in chronological order? You go from The Office to Ozark? Are you alphabetical? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah, maybe. Unintentionally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Harry Potter. Okay. You're gonna rewatch all the movies or read all the books through, or both?
Probably rewatch all the movies. Takes a little less time. Not that I don't have time right now, but I'm just not on my reading grind at the moment.
Yeah, same, definitely the same. When I think of you, I think of your social media trend from a few years ago. Maybe you still do it, but the French bread thing, where did that come from? And do you still do that? Do you still do that?
I don't really do it as much anymore. Honestly, I only started doing it because Colleen was doing like French Braid Friday, and
Right.
I thought it would be really funny to like kind of mock her and do a French Bread Friday. So if you look closely, if you follow both of us, I basically just did whatever, like I just took the exact same picture of whatever she did, and I just did it with bread and copy and pasted her caption, and just was about bread. Like I was completely just trolling her.
Oh,
okay.
So I never knew that.
That's kind of where it came from. I know, I don't know. Not a lot of people know that. They just like really think I am obsessed with bread, which I mean, bread's pretty awesome, but I'm not that obsessed with it.
What was her reaction when you were doing that? Yeah. Sorry.
She was a good sport about it.
Yeah.
She thought it was pretty funny, and then she maybe switched to Fast Break Friday. Maybe that's because of me, maybe not, but yeah.
Colleen is
That's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was great. Other people that like noticed it they thought it was pretty funny as well.
She seems to take social media, I don't know if you want to say pretty seriously, but she's dedicated to her Instagram game. Do you guys ever give her a hard time for being so on it on Instagram?
A little bit, but I feel like that's just like, I don't really want to go there with her on that one. We are different people and we have different values, so she can do her thing, and if that's what she wants to do, and where she wants to put her time, that's totally fine. But I tend to be more of a private person, and I'm not obviously huge on Instagram. I don't think I've posted in a month. So
yeah. Who is on the team? Oh, go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Like, you're on a roll with these great. You're
I'm on a roll.
Uncovering the big truths here. I didn't know the French bread thing, and now I do. So I'm going to let you keep going.
Yeah.
Journalism, Kevin. Follow along.
Woodward and Bernstein.
Yeah. Who's the most serious person on the team, and who's the least serious person on the team?
The most serious. Oh man, I feel like we have like a good balance of like goofy personalities. I'd say maybe Courtney might be the most serious. She's like a big, like, she's a perfectionist for sure, and she is really hard on herself. So like, I'd say she's probably the most serious when it comes to workouts and stuff like that. And what was the other question? Least serious?
Least serious.
Least serious. I don't know. I feel like at this level, like, everyone's pretty serious when it comes down to it.
I don't mean like who's cutting workouts short or who's not doing a cool down. Just like
goofy and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if everyone would agree with this, but I feel like I'm pretty freaking goofy. So I would say like I'm like extreme. Like, I'm either like super serious and intense, or I'm like really like lighthearted and making jokes at every chance I can. So I would maybe say me, but we have a lot of like really goofy personalities as well. So yeah.
Well, Lincoln kind of took my question. Because I was going to ask you, since he was doing rankings on who the best runner was, I was going to ask you to rank all the current Bowerman Track Club members, who you'd want to train with, one all the way. I don't even know how many you guys have at this point.
I don't know
if you want to go. Who's your favorite person? Who's your favorite person to train with for whatever reason you like? Maybe they push you, maybe they have good jokes, whatever it is. Who do you like to train with the most?
I probably say Carissa, because she does push me a lot, and we've spent a lot of time together and done a lot of workouts together. Marielle is hilarious. She's someone that I just enjoy having around me. Like, everything that comes out of her mouth is funny. Kate is good for like debates and just like intellectual conversations, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say Carissa, though. She's someone I've probably spent the most time with as far as like workouts and stuff go like that.
Have you run with a mask on at all? And if so, is it in any way comparable to running at altitude, trying to keep up with the Bowerman Track Club?
I have not run with a mask on, and I hope I don't get crap for that. But no, I am maskless.
Yeah.
Okay. I did this morning, and Lincoln made fun of me, so I think you're in the majority on that.
I mean,
one.
I think you kind of deserve to be made fun of. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, 8-minute pace is hard enough. You don't need to make it extra hard, It's
I just like I could convert down. It was a way for me to explain how slow I was running. I had my mask conversion, I had my pushing a stroller conversion, and before I knew it, I was running.
You're doing it all. You're going to be super fit after this.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to be something after this. I don't know what it is. I had a question about your tattoo, because it says the problem is you think you have time. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And I feel like not to get not to get super serious or philosophical, but that seems especially applicable right now in today's situation.
It does. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I mean, I guess the message of the tattoo basically is just you don't know how much time you have and life is short, so try to live it on purpose. And, I don't want to wake up when I'm 80 and realize that I didn't do the things that I wanted to do with my life. So that's kind of where that comes from. And I just really like that quote, just because I think people can get stuck in their routines and their cycles of, eat, work, sleep, repeat. And we forget to kind of take a step back and live in the moment and, enjoy what we have and be grateful for what we have. And, like I said, you just don't know how much time you have. So I'm just trying to live in the moment and find joy in everything that I do.
That's cool. I'm wondering, when I got my first tattoo, it was your first tattoo, right?
Oh, no. I have
No.
6
Okay.
tattoos.
Okay. Well,
You got the Sun
maybe
Devil thing, right?
The longest. I
Oh,
do have
yes.
the Sun Devil thing. I have the Olympic rings. I have a cheetah on my ankle.
That's right.
Harry Potter on my wrist. And then I have one on my rib cage that says, with pain comes strength.
Can you show me the Harry Potter one again? Because my wife was joking about getting a Harry Potter tattoo, and
Yes.
okay. Oh, those glasses?
Yeah, and
Yep.
the lightning bolt.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, she had a different one. It was like a diamond or something. I don't know Harry Potter, but I'm sure you would know.
It's probably the Deathly Hallows symbol.
Yeah. So I mean, would that be considered lame if she got that amongst Harry Potter super fans?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
okay.
That's like,
but yes,
if you're not going to get the
overall,
glasses
yes.
and the lightning bolt. But I mean, obviously it's like a little nerdy, but I love it. So I say
I have
go
a
for it.
I have a Hagrid tattoo on my back. So no, I'm just kidding. I do not have a Hagrid tattoo. That's a joke.
I think you should show us.
Yeah, it is. No, I'm just kidding. Well, who in your family, like when I've got my tattoos, my mom cried. So I'm wondering who's been supportive of your tattoos and maybe who's been less supportive in your family.
She cried?
Yeah. Just disappointment. Disappointment.
I wouldn't say everyone's like super supportive of me getting my tattoos.
Yeah.
My parents are definitely not pumped about it. I think I had my first tattoo for like almost a year before my mom found out. I forgot that I had it because it's like my sports bra covers it up. So I just totally forgot about it, put a swimsuit on, went to the pool, and she was like, "What's that?" It's like, "Oh crap, nothing." Like it's a Sharpie. So, but yeah, so then, I think every time I've gotten one, she's like, "No more. That's your last one." And then I started joking like, "Oh, I'm going to get a sleeve." And like secretly I did want one. But she's like, "You better not get a sleeve." And then fast forward to me getting my arm tattoo, and I called her after it was done. I was like, I'm going to see you in a week, so I might as well just break the news to you now. I got a tattoo. So she wasn't pumped about it. She was like, I like it. I just don't like it on you. But it's my body. It's my life. I'm going to do what I want with it. So I love it. And that's all that really matters.
Well, that's a great way to wrap this up. Shelby, thank you so much for joining us on today's show. Whenever racing resumes, we hope to see you back out there. Eat junk food, but maybe don't eat too much. It sounds like you got a handle on it. And hopefully we'll
get a handle on it.
Yeah. And we hope to see you on a track sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too.